Can we record? Good morning, everyone. My name's Helen McIntosh, and I'm the president of the South East London Chamber of Commerce. We're thrilled today to have Louisa Sykes with us. Now, Louisa is an expert in sustainability, and she works for Coventry University, who have an outpost at the North Greenwich campus, which is lovely. And as you can see, that is her backdrop. That's where she lives. Very smart building and very easy to get to, isn't it, on the Jubilee line and at the peninsula. Louisa lectures in the BSc for Energy Management at Coventry, but she also runs IMEA Sustainability Net Zero short courses. But I'm going to hand over to Louisa now.
Thank you very much, Helen. Very much appreciated for the introduction. And hello, everybody. Very nice to meet all of you. I hope you're going to enjoy our session and hopefully lots of questions at the end of the session. So as Helen mentioned, I'm based on Greenwich campus and I teach energy management as well as IEMA environmental management as well. So I'm very pleased to be here with us and with you. And thank you so much for the London Chamber of Commerce for inviting us. Just a little more about myself. I worked in the energy industry for 20 years as a consultant, and only recently, since 2017, that I've been a teacher, a lecturer, and I'm really enjoyed. I think I really missed some of my vocation, and I love the teaching process and being on classroom and engaging the students. So all of that good stuff I'm very passionate about. And of course, because I worked in industry as well for so many years, I'm passionate about the energy industry as well, and especially renewable energy, and my interest in sustainability in renewable energy. Probably since 2015, I've developed my expertise and my knowledge in that area. So I'm going to start sharing my screen with all of you and share my slides. So we're going to go on a journey to sustainability, all of us. So I've divided my webinar in 3 parts. So the first part, we embark on the journey and we concentrate on the triple bottom line approach. We then try to link sustainability with business performance, and a lot of the business leaders are very interested in this aspect. And then we very briefly talk about what does energy sustainability mean. So the second part is about connecting the dots, so connecting all the big issues related to sustainability, environmental management, etc. So we're addressing environmental concerns, and also very, very, very crucial, it is about pointing out the drivers for change and how we shape markets. The third part is about what can business do to become more sustainable, some tips, perhaps some suggestions, some practical measures that can be applied to improve sustainability practices. And so around business strategies of moving forward towards sustainability. So we're actually starting with the concept of sustainability. And I would ask you, please, to join me typing menti.com on your phone and entering the code 4212277. So I give you a couple of minutes to do that. So that gets you to a question. So my first question sorry, I suppose I got the wrong start. Hold on a second. So going to, okay, so we are on the right one now. Okay, so it says, what does sustainability mean for businesses? Okay, if you I've got a problem on your phone, just say go to slide. So that's gonna give you the right slide to vote in. So one person has voted. So press go to slide. Okay, great, great. Very good. Okay, it's happening. It's so good when we can see the technology actually working. So that is fantastic. I always get very excited about that too. Okay, so still coming in. Okay, so it looks like a lot of you answer it's about caring for the environment and also social welfare. And some of you have got the aspect of economics and financial strength and environmental impact. So I'm very pleased to see there is a big emphasis on actually the environmental aspect, is caring about the environment, absolutely. But let's go back to our slides and talk about the concept. And I would start this journey. Let me just turn off my my video because it's a bit distracting. So I would start this journey to sustainability with this statement. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. It's a very powerful statement, and I'm sure you can agree with me. Is our capacity to adapt, to face the challenges, and change, really. That is what explains that what has been the factor, the main factor in our world. Another statement, and this is my favorite statement of definition of sustainability. Sustainability is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It's also our ability to face the future challenges, but without undermining future generations. I think it's so powerful as well, this statement. Make us reflect over what the problems we've got at the moment and can we guarantee future generations. And it's about combining the analysis of economics, environmental, and social aspects. So in our sustainability concept, and the one we're embracing, is about understanding that sustainability must be a combination, and must be understood and embraced as a combination of environmental, social, and economic performance as well. And this is what we call the triple bottom line. So it's the overlap between the corporate goals of pursuing profitability and financial strength, but also combining that with the environmental goals and also the well-being, the public health. So is this interrelation between people, planet, and profits. And this is how we understand the concept of sustainability. But let's reflect a little bit about why organizations incorporate sustainability principles into the business practices, and what do they have to gain out of that. So international business, but also UK-based businesses need to be efficient. They need to optimize their operations. This is in order to meet the competitive markets of today. But more and more, it's about understanding environmental impacts and addressing those environmental impacts. So companies must be prepared to face up to those challenges, and those challenges include binding climate change policies. In the old days, traditionally, business management was actually just focusing on economic gains in profitability and maximizing profitability. Environmental objectives, in fact, were considered to be constraints to achieving those economic goals of businesses. However, saying that, recent business analysis and research indicates that ecology can be combined with financial gains. It's not different things completely, can be the two sides of the same coin. So the new theoretical approaches, economic approaches, and also research suggest that companies that are investing in sustainability are the ones that are going to create more benefits and more profits for their shareholders. At the same time, also caring for the environment and also looking after the well-being of the planet. So can firms be at a competitive disadvantage if they actually focus on sustainability issues? So I want you to think about that for a moment. In fact, I do believe that sustainability is about long-term survival. And it can mean really caring for the environment and social well-being, but we cannot dismiss the economic aspect. It's why businesses are thriving. It's because they are sustainable from the economic point of view. So those organizations that invest in sustainability are the ones that are going to be better positioned to compete in the markets of the future. In fact, many companies these days are already ahead of the competition, and they're actually doing really well, developing environmentally friendly products and pursuing environmental strategies. And those companies are attracting market share, they attracting customers, because more and more of us are understanding that companies that actually care about the environment, that invested in improving environmental performance, are in better position to be competitive in the future. So energy sustainability, what does that mean? And energy industry challenges. So what is the road to sustainability? Where do we start? Sometimes we think about how do we go from A to B? To start with, let's think about the energy that dominates our world today. And what can we do to improve an environmental approach? So let's go back to our Menti quiz, if it's okay with you. Let's go to the next question. So the next question is to test you a little bit about your knowledge on energy. So it's about choosing a statement. So we've got three statements. One, oil and gas accounts for 100% of world energy consumption. The second option, fossil fuels represents around half of the energy consumption worldwide, and fossil fuels represent over 80% of the total energy consumption worldwide. So wait a minute or so. Okay, I'm very impressed. I mean, a lot of you seem to have very good insights into the energy sector. So well done. So really, it's the right answer is the fossil fuel represent over 80% of the total energy consumption around the world. That is the correct answer. So what problems do we create by using this type of energy? So we're using 80% of all the energy worldwide is coming from fossil fuels. And the other question is, why should we change the energy landscape? I would suggest that you think about those two questions, keep those in mind, and perhaps later on you'll be able to, if not answer them straight away, just be able to answer those questions. So there is already solutions. Energy sustainability means investing in renewable energy. In fact, the UK has been investing in renewable energy sector, in the power sector. So a substantial percentage of our power is actually now in UK generated by offshore wind power. So about 40%, between 40 and 50%. I know some people get very surprised when I mention that. It's normally not acknowledged by the sector, by industry experts, that we are actually moving very fast in the power sector. Obviously, the transport sector is a different issue. So we are far behind in the transport sector. So the very, very small market for electric cars at the moment. And of course, that is everything to do with affordability. So more later on. So what do we need to do when we start thinking about all these issues? From my point of view, is also making the connection. So first of all, what is the topic that dominates the discussion on the environment? It's a very easy question to answer. I'm sure you agree with me, as obviously climate change. So I've chosen these photos, perhaps for dramatic impact. And if you look at those photos, you kind of think about all the events and the catastrophic environmental events that have taken place in the last few years. And so it's nothing new when you look at those photos. But I wanted to cause a bit of impact with those photos, and it's really the evidence, and it's all around us, of climate change and environmental damage, the melting of the ice, flooding, fire, wildfires, etc. So all of this is happening all around us. So how we act is all about talk, is no action. So what do you think about that? It's about understanding the issues from my point of view. Is about connecting the dots. That's why I've mentioned connecting the dots. And all of these aspects, these factors seem to be disconnected, but in fact they're not. Energy crisis, the climate change, COP26, and also other conference of parties that have taken place after that. Energy security, policies, resources required, capital investment. Also, what can we do as individuals? So it's about connecting the dots. So energy crisis, what's the root? Is our dependency on imports of gas from Russia. Climate change topics, dependency on fossil fuels. If you remember what the objectives of COP26 were, addressing climate change, and many other conferences of parties have taken place since then. What about energy resilience? So can we connect, for example, the goals of COP26 with enhancing energy resilience, energy supply? So if we developed our domestic energy resources, are we going for sure to enhance our energy security and security of energy supply? So what actions do companies and governments need to do? So what policies? So government policies and consistency of government policies, very, very important factor, as you very well aware. And also, what can we do as individuals? But we can talk about that a little bit later. So energy supply and security of supply is a key issue. And of course, together with how dependent we are on energy imports and the impact also that factor has on our everyday life. The security of supplies, the aspect of prices, of course, it's absolutely crucial. Affordability and availability are key issues, of course. And when I mentioned about the transport sector and switching to electric cars, of course, this aspect of affordability and availability are very current. So we could be forgiven for thinking, oh, there is some doubts there. We can perhaps be a bit cynical at times, thinking about there is all talk but no action. There is a lot of good intentions expressed at Conference of Parties on Climate Change, but in fact, in reality, not much is being done. So production and consumption, how do we consume energy is very crucial, as I mentioned earlier on. And how do we develop the need for change, and how do we get there from A to B? What resources do we need? So we need capital resources, and we mentioned already some investments, some progress has been made in the power sector. We need consistency in government policy. This is really a powerful driving force as well. So what can we do as individuals, and what can business do? Let's talk a little bit about what businesses can do as well. So business sustainability needs to embrace that triple bottom line that I mentioned. So economy, social aspects, but also the environment. So the ultimate business sustainability is not just about trying to tackle the negative impacts on the environment, but also offering solutions, being proactive in terms of moving towards sustainability. Very simple ideas for improving sustainability practices. For example, everybody can do recycle and reuse, reduce waste, reduce single-use products such as single-use plastics, reduce those environmental impacts. So identify, first of all, those environmental impacts, and then implement strategies to address those environmental impacts. It's about improving energy efficiency as well, and many companies I know of are doing just that, that there is a very tangible benefit in terms of saving costs as well, conserve water, manage chemical safety, for example. But there is obviously more comprehensive frameworks that can be used, and this is not rigid, the only model. There's many variants to similar models. Is about, for example, understanding what's important to the company stakeholders, identifying those sustainability areas that are absolutely crucial for stakeholders, create a sustainability mission, a vision, develop a sustainability strategy, but also set targets and goals. This is so important, and assign accountability for sustainability targets, another must-do aspect. And so you can pursue your sustainability initiatives. Train staff is key factor, as you're aware of. Decide on measurements and metrics to judge how you're progressing. So measure sustainability impact on new project, for example. So sustainable business practice definition is about action allowing the companies to create a positive impact on people, society, and environment. And it's all of this triple bottom line that I am mentioning earlier on, and I keep mentioning step by step. So this is not just about focusing on profitability, it's also about embracing all the other aspects as well. So it's essential, sustainability is an essential part of social and environmental responsibility for business today, and is a necessary step towards preserving the future generations, like I mentioned earlier on as well. So what are the benefits for sustainable business? So lower operating costs, and I mentioned, for example, in the case of energy efficiency measures, reuse, recycle, are also important aspects that have a good impact on the bottom line. So reduce those environmental impacts is one of the first priorities, by identifying those impacts first of all, and then implementing measures to address those impacts. So it's about also increasing profits. If a lot of companies these days embarking on sustainability practices, they attract more customers and expand their market shares, and there is some examples out there. Also improves employee morale and also productivity, because you're part of a company that is going to make a difference for the planet and for society. So all of these measures have an impact on the financial side, on the profitability side, by increasing the customer base, for example, increasing the sales. Those companies are likely to do well if they start early. And the reputation, that the question of improving, enhancing public image and reputation of companies have a positive impact as well on the bottom line. So how can business apply sustainability business practices? It's about taking sustainability very seriously. It is about incorporating sustainability into the business DNA. It's about engaging in circular business models, for example. It's about setting performance measurements, and those have to be partly quantitative metrics. It's about those energy efficiencies I mentioned earlier. It's about switching to electric car fleets, for example, e-transport. It's about applying sustainability to supply chain and operating services, adopting corporate social responsibility principles of looking after your employees. So adopting ethical approaches, such as ethical sourcing, and also important sustainability reporting those progresses on sustainability. Of course, when possible, industries upgrading their technologies in order to reduce the emissions. So let's go to the part when we discuss can we be part of the solution, and what steps and what actions can we take to make a difference. And so a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you about your lifestyle and about changing habits, if you can. And so by doing that, we take a more sustainable approach to our own life. But let's think about the problems that we face today. So what does that mean if we carry on as we are now? What about the 3-degree increase in temperature that analysts are estimating for the 21st century? What is the impact? We know that can be catastrophic for our planet. So can we also do something about it? Let's go back to our Menti quiz. So this is for you to perhaps suggest whatever you want to suggest that maybe can make an impact. So what habit or lifestyle would you be prepared to change to save the planet? Not seeing any movement. Okay, one response, drive less. Not use single, okay, very good. Okay, it's all very good suggestions. Drive less seems to be popular. Fly less, perhaps less so. Recycle a lot more. Take public transport, fly less and reduce meat consumption. Good answer. Use less plastics or avoid completely if possible. Support the circular economy, electric cars, yes. Take public transport. Eat less meat. Give up dairy. Grow own food. That's all. Get external insulation in our house. That's really, really good. All good answers. And I would say a lot of these are doable easily by all of us, I would say, without requiring too much sacrifice from our part, because what really deters people is the sacrifices of our lifestyle. We don't want to give up too much, but so there is some compromises to be had. So thanks a lot, everybody, for your input. So there is some, the next one, I don't know if you'll be able to also answer that one. I was in two minds about including this one. It was a bit of a like outside, but nevertheless, if you can answer this one, I just, instead of doing your a freestyle answer, it was about selecting some of those. I suppose it's fair to say that a lot of you have already expressed your ideas in the previous one. So, yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is another way to look at the problem. So it's interesting, a lot of you saying more recycle and reuse, yes. And also very popular, reduce or eliminate single-use plastic. Fantastic. Peter, I don't know if Peter wanted to say something. Maybe we leave the questions for last, if it's okay. So yeah, interesting. Maybe we can discuss a little bit about that later on the question side. So thank you so much, everybody, for engaging. So let's move on. So we kind of talk about what can we give up, and again, sometimes there is a lot of things that we are a bit reluctant to change or to give up. So ourselves, you mentioned in your answers a lot about recycling reuse that seems to be very, very popular. And we can do a little bit. Our small measures and small steps are going to be very important and make an impact. Simple things like walking, cycling, switching lights, etc. We cannot really stop climate change, but we can, in our little ways, try to tackle simple measures that are going to collectively make a big impact. We cannot stop climate change, but we can mitigate climate change. So we can be part of the solution in a way. There is many levels of being engaged with sustainability, and we've looked into some of those. The expansion of e-vehicles. We need to move into that direction, but again, there is aspects of affordability, availability, infrastructure that need to be in place in order to drive the evolution of that market. So there is a lot of scope for improvement, for example, in battery technology, infrastructures, etc. So the scope is still, scope for improvement is still there. Infrastructure is not sufficient. So we need to create the solutions, and all of these that we mentioned are part of the solution, such as a renewable energy. So it's about maybe finishing on a positive. Big steps have been taken in power sector, much less on the transport sector, but so we need to move much faster in that direction. And it's about increasing the use of clean energy. It's about actually supporting consistency in terms of what we need to be in place in terms of policies that are going to give some comfort to investors, so they know there is some certainty in relation to the clean energy sector, so they can invest there, knowing their investment is secure. So all of these aspects are very key, and of course are going to make a big, massive difference on the way we going to evolve. So more consistency, more regulations, environmental regulation in terms of facilitating the switch to renewable energy, to clean energy, to more sustainable practices. So we kind of visualize and construct the future by raising awareness, by discussing these matters, by perhaps suggesting ways to move forward. So we actually laying the foundation for net zero future, transform the world by changing the agenda towards sustainability. So this is our aim. So this is to finish. This is our some of our members, team members of energy management in Coventry University, CU London. So we're very, very grateful to be invited by the London Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for taking part. And I'll be very happy to take your questions. So if you want to take maybe some
lovely, Louisa, can you take the slides down, please?
Yes, of course.
And then if I can ask everyone to put their cameras on so we can see everyone, that would be lovely. And either little yellow hand up, or I can't see any yellow hands at the moment. Oh yes, I can. Tosin, you're on mute. Unmute, please.
I wasn't going to ask anything.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were. You can mute then. Mute yourself again.
Videos on.
Oh, good. Let's go to Mark and then to Stacey. Little yellow hands.
I think Stacey was first, actually.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Stacey. Ladies first. Stacey.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Louisa. My question is about what has the most impact and where can we find that out? Because, not using plastic is great, but is that more important than changing your transport? you know, I don't eat meat, I don't own a car, but as you can hear, I'm an American, so I fly home now and again. And I know that is a major impact. And thanks to COVID, I didn't fly for 5 years, but yeah, you know, I'm getting pressure from home to come more regularly than that. So it would be really useful to know where we could get guidance on what has the most impact from our individual actions, and also for businesses. You know, transport is so key. I do a walk every morning, so I'm going to ask 2 questions. And I see half the traffic that's going down the main roads are, you know, small vans doing business. So how do, you know, people who need transport for their work can they access help to change to electric vans? Thank you.
Okay. It's a very complex, simple but complex, because the first thing I would say is there is no sole prescription that is going to work for everybody, for all companies. So there is no model or framework containing the guidelines that is going to be suitable for a wide range of companies and individuals. So I tackle both individual and businesses. For business applies the same thing. It's about internal discussions. First of all, it has to, because we don't want to tell companies about how they want to conduct their business, because each company knows their business. We don't want to tell them what they should be doing. I think the revolution, it has to come from internal movement and from the top, from the senior corporate commitment towards implementation of measures, and be willing to change, because change is a very complex process. It involves, it depends if a large or medium or small company, it doesn't matter, because change is always tough, but is implementing all the right processes and procedures to allow that to happen. But again, unfortunately, it's got to, or fortunately, it's got to come from enlightened senior management at corporate level, and that trickles down along the organization. But for each organization, it is a little bit about a reflection exercise in terms of, can we improve our environmental management? First of all, are we willing to do that? That's the first thing. And then, okay, what can we do? Let's think about what environmental impacts do we have as a company? What can we do then after identifying? That's the first step, identifying those environmental impacts. You might imagine is oil and gas company. I know it's the worst possible. I worked in oil and gas all my life. So companies need to think about how can they minimize, can they eliminate their environmental impacts completely? No, not in the case of oil and gas companies. But can they minimize, reduce their impacts? Yes, they can, for example, reduce the level of emissions in their operations. And they're all doing that already. That's one of the things they're doing. And also, can they reduce venting, or when we're venting, it means that you release gas to the atmosphere, and obviously that has got a climate change impact. Flaring, also called flaring, it's release of gas associated with oil, and that is a very common practice, and unfortunately, and that is one of the causes of climate change as well. So can they reduce that? There is ways to do that now. I mean, there is no excuse. There is technology that enables oil and gas companies to do that. So just an example to say, what can they do in a very realistic way? And each company will have their own model in terms of what are the priorities, what shall I do, what are the stakeholders doing. It's also because we always think about employees, shareholders, perhaps you focus on shareholders, but even shareholders these days, or oil and gas companies, they want those companies to improve their environmental performance. And they respond and they scrutinize. We all scrutinize in companies a lot more. And we are scrutinizing the oil and gas companies' environmental performance and see how they improving. And in certain areas, they are improving. I mean, let's be realistic. We already know that 80% of our energy comes from fossil fuels. We can't just dismiss all of that. No, it's not happening. No, it's our lives. But it's about that damage limitation, if you like. But ourselves as individuals, what are you prepared to do? Maybe, you said maybe not use plastic at all. But we are very powerful as a collective, not perhaps as individual, in terms of, for example, I was thinking about supermarkets. They still use a huge amount of plastic. But us as consumers, we can have a intervention on that by, shouting very loud, why do you need this packaging? So multiple packaging. I mean, there's been a little bit of an improvement on that on retail side of the food retail. Not enough, I would say. Some steps have been taken, but not enough. But ourselves in our lives, I think we can perhaps start selecting what is less inconvenient for all of us. I mean, for example, you talked about air travel. I mean, you need to go home and see your family. I mean, it is important. It's part of who you are. So it's not fair to say, look, no, we can't do that anymore. That's just not going to work. And people are not going to embrace these aspects of sustainability. If they ask too much in one go, you need to also implement things gradually. You have to start somewhere. This is my point. That's why I call it journey to sustainability. It's about maybe sometimes baby steps, but it's building up momentum. And with companies, it's that first step must come from the top, and then engagement with stakeholders to understand what are the issues that affect them more. What can be done to reduce those impacts and those damage. I don't know if I answer your question, but it's not a yes. It's like not a yes or no. There's no yes or no in here, or a prescription exactly what we should do or not do. I mean, some things have got more impact than others, obviously, but you have to think about what actually in your lifestyle could have more impact, and also for society as well.
That's very good. Stacey, has that answered your question? Because you can set your own goals, can't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a different question, but I'll let the others go first.
Okay. Mark, then Anne.
Right, thanks. Yeah. In fact, there's I think the average, just adding to the point from Louisa, good question. I think the average for people in the UK is like 10,000 kilograms of CO2 equivalent every year.
Yeah.
That's twice the world average. And kind of the main bit is around leisure, 19%, and flights around 7%. So I guess buildings and transport are kind of the main bit, I would suggest. My question was going to be around behaviours, and which obviously which is kind of where you were kind of focusing on. How do we change behaviour, and also what kind of we always say it's the young people who are going to drive it. And I was involved in a college, 200 college students 2 weeks ago. Similar kind of questions. How many of you are concerned about climate change, and are you aware of it? Probably 10% said yes. The rest of them said I want to make money. So if they're the 16, 17-year-olds, are we doomed? But what's the students at Coventry University you come across?
My
What's
experience, my experience is that they all quite concerned about climate change. I mean, interesting. I'm not sure. I was going to ask what is the area of study, because it depends what you study. I mean, if you're studying finance, or if you're studying banking, or if you're studying maybe business management, but a little bit different, is because it's a little bit more generic. But all the students that I've come across, both on the business management here and the energy management, of course, they all going to say they are concerned with climate change and they want to change their lifestyle a little bit. And I found that younger people, younger generations are much more open to change and to try new things rather than our generation, my generation. They're a bit more, you must set on our ways, as you said, you know, holidays abroad several times per year, getting into our car and driving even short distances. So I think that there is a whole lifestyle, I think it is kind of pretty much ingrained in all of us. And I think you're right, the most difficult sometimes thing to accomplish is to change the lifestyle, and that is going to, if that requires a lot of sacrifices, I think a lot of people say, no. So it is difficult. It's about, of course, it's about raising awareness. It's understanding why we're doing this, why we're making these changes. But there is very easy ones to do. And for example, on the side of recycle and reuse that a lot of people mentioned, I'm always surprised to find out that a lot of the local councils are still not implementing measures on recycling and providing those options, those facilities. It always surprised me a little bit that is the case, and we're not moving quicker into the recycling and circular economy, because this is all part of it. So I think a lot can be done from that point of view, and it's not being done. So I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. Can I just say, I think the circular economy is coming, but it's a much bigger thing, especially for local authorities to think. I'm very, very conscious we've got about 4 minutes left.
Right. Yes.
So can we take Anne's question? And then we'll go back to Anne. You're on mute.
Can I give two comments and a question? One comment. Have you seen this book? How Bad Are Bananas?
Yes.
Yeah, you'll know it, Louisa, won't you?
Yeah.
And it's you can look at it and see what impact will my thing that I'm doing have, and how can I consider if I want to do it. Next thing is that, like, if we reach 3%, it's a catastrophe. I think a big part of the problem is that what's the point? So you know, encouraging people that actually no, it's going to be different, but we adapt. As you said, we adapt. Those quotes. I did an environmental management degree in the 90s, and it was making me a bit tearful because, you know, those quotes were used, and here we are still trying really hard. Yeah. But my question, this is about SMEs, getting sort of educated and certified as a small business that cares. B Corp, it's out of my price range. Well, have you got any tips of where to go, who to talk to, what we could do?
If I was a consultant, I probably would suggest, I mean, like I was that was some of my type of work that I used to do, to help companies being certified. In environmental management, as you know, there is a very famous worldwide ISO organization, ISO 14001. 2015, and they are very, very good, and they recognize international, and you can use that framework for a small, it doesn't matter the size or type of company, it could be any size or any sector, but is a very valuable tool to implement improvements in environmental performance. So I would suggest perhaps, because they're quite easy to follow, understand. That's I'm not working for that.
Well, can you repeat what that is? That's
ISO is the organization, a international or standardization organization. So
And
so
it's 2001/15.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you Google ISO, it
Yeah.
comes up. Then you search 14,001, and they comes up with a lot of different things and
Oh, right.
and
Okay.
models, frameworks, etc. So it is a lot out there that it.
I'm
Yeah.
going to be really cheeky and intervene now because
No,
we are
I'm happy.
11. Is everyone happy? Just a couple more minutes just to finish off, yeah? Okay. And one thing I will ask of Mark, we know in London, from the GLA that there's we're all supporting London living wage, that we know that there's healthy eating, and so a charter. Maybe you can push, because you do a lot of work with the GLA, don't you, Mark? That we can push for something, to make us all aware, recycling. My other plug I'm going to give Mark, maybe you can give us in your green regular column in Masthead, which comes out in October for chamber members. You can give us some more things we can do. That's my plug. They're my plugs.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. And there's the SME Climate Hub, which is run by Bays, which is also worth looking at.
Okay, well, if you we'll let everyone know of these facts later. So
Yes.
Stacey, we answered are you okay? Good.
I just wanted to say there's the Art of Zero Living in Greenwich Market that does zero packaging.
Brilliant. That's what we like to hear. Now, do I see any more yellow hands? No? Right. I'm going to give, we have some more webinars coming up. Wednesday, the 11th October, Thackeray Williams are talking about the menopause. This is part 2. And I have to say, this is the menopause, how it affects us all, women and men. So we've got men, so we're doing both, basically. Friday, the 13th of October, we have Clive Efford MP. Clive's a regular speaker with us. This is online, and if anyone, Merton, you're welcome to come and put your questions about the government. Clive's a Labour MP, and we're going to have the Shadow Minister for small businesses in London on the same call. Well, actually not in London, but the Shadow Minister for Business. So Charlie will send those details later. Wednesday, the 18th of October, skilled workers visas. So we can still bring in people with skills from elsewhere. That's Woodcock Law. And we're going to have an office drinks sponsored by the fast fibre providers in Greenwich, ITS Group, and Alcatel Submarine Networks, who've been on the same site since 1819 in East Greenwich. So I'd like you all, that's going to be on Wednesday the 8th, that's the same day, Wednesday the 18th of October, 5:30 to 7:30. We're being very good because it's a manufacturing plant, so no alcohol is allowed, but we're having very nice non-alcoholic drinks, especially non-alcoholic beer. There you go. And I'd like, Louisa, you can shift across from, easily.
I'd love to, yeah.
So we're in the detail.
I will come.
Okay. And I'd like to thank you so much. It's been so informative this morning. So thank you, Louisa, and thank you, Coventry.
Thank
And
you
I
very
hope
much. Thank you,
this is the
Helen. Thank you,
first
Charlie,
May.
and everybody for attending. Thank you.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
If it's all right, Mark, you've got your hand up. Is that legacy?
No, I was applauding.
Oh, you're applauding.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, my glasses.
Pleasure.
Apologies.
Thanks.
Can I ask, so we can stop recording now? Thank you. And can Louisa and